Attention, please. Hey, Jim, can you round up the rest of the commissioners, please? Bless you. Good afternoon, everyone. We're about to begin our meeting. Just missing a couple of commissioners. Yeah, so we're going to start. Is Commissioner Fisher out there? Richardson? I'll go check. Yeah, we got to get started. 1 o'clock means 1 o'clock. All right, good afternoon. The board meeting of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and its component units is now being called to order. Today's in-person meeting is also being held virtually via video conference with the proceedings live streamed to the Port Authority website. On June 5th, the Audit and Finance Committees met in executive session. Earlier today, the Finance Committee and the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management met in executive. Their reports will be filed with the official minutes of today's board meetings. The Commissioners also met in executive earlier today to discuss matters related to security or public safety, matters involving personnel procedures, and matters involving ongoing negotiations or reviews of contracts or proposals, and to discuss and act upon matters related to the purchase, sale, or lease of real property where disclosure would affect the value thereof or the public interest. Just for the benefit of the commissioners, these are our microphones. Red is off, and obviously hit the button, green to go on. We appreciate for those folks who have been part of this remodeling. Do we like the remodeling here? Gary, what do we think?
Very nice.
Really appreciate it. Much more stable and Robert Rules-like. Much appreciated. First order of business, Michelle, come on in. We started.
And I love seeing Kevin McCabe with that video.
Yeah. It's a huge 10 by 10 screen, Commissioner McCabe. You should know that, and you were the only one on it.
That's unfortunate for you guys. Jesus,
right.
Man.
Welcome, Commissioner McCabe. Should we start with a roll call first, Jim, or you want to just go right into the swearing in?
You typically start with just opening up the meeting with the executive session exceptions and
Yep.
I don't know if you did that right.
Yeah. We did the first, then we're going to now welcome the new Commissioner Elizabeth Fine, to the Port Authority, who has for the last, I guess, 4.5 hours enjoyed the first jam-packed executive meeting. Liz, you come with an inordinate, amazing amounts of experience, public. Your background is unbelievable, and you'll lend your incredible talents to this wonderful board. And as I told you before, once you become part of the Port Authority family, it is just infectious. It overwhelms you. We all have served at different points, federal, state, county, local, government, public service, and I will tell you, as I've said to you before, there is no place like the Port Authority. The rich history, over 103 years, the dedication, the wonderfulness, the tragedy, the dedication, devotion, really centering around the 8,000 employees, and for those folks that worked for the last 103 years, you will come to love this place, and we welcome you with open arms, and we know that your experience, and you're not shy about expressing yourself. We welcome you here, and we look forward to your added contributions to this wonderful and distinguished board. Welcome. With that, we are going to start with the ceremony with the Port Authority Honor Guard with the bagpipes and the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All righty, you can seat, and we're going to swear in the wonderful commissioner. Liz, if you could approach the podium with the vice chair and executive director. Liz, you have somebody holding the Bible?
I have my husband.
Oh, Michael. Welcome. How are we doing? All righty, Liz, come on up. We're going to have three of us. Jeff?
Triple
Three.
sworn in. Triple sworn in.
Takes three. Jeff, you don't want to be the side since I'm holding the oath.
Okay.
All righty, please raise your right hand. State your name.
Elizabeth Fine,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
And that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Commissioner of the Port Authority
the duties of the office of the Commissioner of the Port Authority
of New York and New Jersey
of New York and New Jersey
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. I'll take this from you. Nice to meet you.
Michael, nice to see you.
Alrighty, Jim, could we have a roll call, please?
Sure thing. President today, Chairman O'Toole, Vice Chairman Linford, Commissioners Bolwage, Commissioner Eve, Commissioner Fine, Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Helmy, Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner LaBarbera, Commissioner McCabe, and Commissioner Richardson.
Alrighty, so we have the constituted board here, and with that, we see our dear friend Steve Cohen here. Steve has left the board, and it's hard to watch Steve leave the board. Steve has an incredible background, incredible record, which we're going to get into. Before I make him blush a little bit, I'd like to hear from our vice chair on any thoughts you might have on the roast, of Steve Cohen, our commissioner friend.
Stephen, it is bittersweet for me to make this encomium. Your sagacity, leadership, and acerbic wit are only a few of the hallmarks of your successful tenure here. Your cutting humor is sharp enough to bore one of the new gateway tunnels. People in government are usually not shy about talking, but you are one of the rare few who have had something significant to say every time you spoke, and people listened. Through 2 terms on the Port Authority Board, including one as vice chairman, you have spoken truth, sometimes hard truths, to us all. Stephen, you have held top posts in New York State government, served as chair of the Empire State Development Corporation, and have chaired the Gateway Tunnel Program, not to mention your distinguished tenure as a successful federal prosecutor at the Southern District. I am sure that your departure from the PA Board is not a conclusion to your unwavering participation and engagement in public policy matters. But Stephen, it is most important for me to say you leave the Board of Commissioners as a good friend to each of us. In closing, on behalf of my fellow commissioners, we are honored to have served with you and look forward to witnessing your future accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. For those that don't know, Steve has served 2 very distinguished tenures here at the Port Authority, from July of 2015 to December 2016, and from June 21 till June of 24. I've had the privilege of serving with Steve. And Steve, let me just tell you a few things. I never saw your resume till like yesterday, and I feel really unaccomplished as a human being when I read your resume, and I mean that. I mean, your experience, like if any one of those posts you had, whether it be Empire or, vice chair, prosecutor at Southern, the various posts you had at the governor's office, any one of those would distinguish an individual above the rest of us. You have all of it. Whenever we came into a difficult situation, Steve, you had the institutional knowledge just not only here, but in your other lives, both public and private. And I came to rely upon that wisdom and experience rather heavily. You have an amazing way of saying some things, sometimes to aggravate us, but you say it in a way that you're just speaking the truth, which is, a refreshing truth. I don't say it often, Steve, but there's certain people I meet in my life that I just really look up to and admire. You have this wicked intelligence. Not wicked, like you have this wicked intelligence. I measure people in terms of whether they have a high IQ in politics, which is, I kind of like to look at those folks, and there's folks who have a high IQ in policy. You're one of the rare breed that you have the highest IQ in both of those categories. Like you understand the politics when you walk into the room, and you understand the policy. You research it, you just don't shoot from the hip. And kind of like the E.F. Hutton, Steve, when you talk, the room gets silent and everybody listens. And what I've come to appreciate from you is not only what you say, it's how you say it. There's a foreshadowing, there are spaces between what you're saying, and more importantly, it's what you're not saying. You are like an encyclopedia in many ways. To say it's going to be a loss is like an understatement. It's a stupid thing to say. You moving on to your next chapter, which I'm sure is going to be fabulous, and I'm sure you'll be intersecting with us, me, and the rest of us, because I will tell you, I will be, as I've told you privately, I will be calling on you to seek some advice and ask you about some history that you have at your fingertips that is not readily available to the rest of us. I've come to appreciate you not only as a colleague, but as a friend. Port Authority owes you a debt of gratitude for the way you've handled yourself, a man of great integrity, a man of great intellect. You represent, of all the 103 commissioners, Steve, I will tell you, if there was a test out there, and I mean this, you would probably come out number one in terms of your commitment, your drive, in terms of your ability, natural and otherwise. You just have it. And on behalf of the board, let me just say a heartfelt thank you. And we couldn't have gotten through the last few years without your amazing leadership. Thank you and job well done. Before we give you the ceremonial hard hat and plaque, and I'm going to ask at that time all the commissioners stand up and we'll give it to you. Is there any commissioners want to be heard before we hear from Steve? And remember, Steve, we do have the power of the microphone after you sit down. Just so you know.
I assume the timer will go on.
Any other commissioners want to be heard before we hear from our colleague? Steve, the floor is yours.
First of all, before I begin, I'm delighted and was delighted when I heard that I was going to be replaced by Liz. Liz Fine and I have known each other for years, not just through government, but through social circles and friendships in Brooklyn. I know Liz, I know her family, I know her dedication, I know her intellect. We work together, and I suspect that Liz originally joining the administration at ESD, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we had a conversation about that before she chose to join, and then lo and behold, I ended up being chair of ESD while Liz was still there as general counsel. So when I say my seat is been assumed by somebody who is bettering it, I know about what I speak. So Liz, I'm delighted, and congratulations to all of you for having somebody who is an extraordinary colleague. Listening to all of this is difficult. I'm not from a world where you hear much praise very often. I think the last time I was spoken to in these terms, was probably my bar mitzvah. And I must say that your remarks exceeded my father's. In fact, recently my father was asked about something I had accomplished, and he said, "You must be proud." And my father said, "Actually, more surprised." So thank you all for those remarks. When I first got on this board, and there are few here who were there at the time, the vice chair was there, but other than maybe Gary was there, but that was it. It was a different era, and there were at that point no plans for a LaGuardia Airport. There were no plans. There were discussions about, but no real plans about the new terminals at Newark or at JFK. There was an idea that there would be some kind of performance space at the World Trade Center, but there was no Performing Arts Center. There weren't even plans for one. Tower 5 was Site 5 with no plans for that as well. And so I recognize that I had very, very little to do with any of what was accomplished, but I'm delighted that I'm able to look back from when I first got on the board to where we are today and recognize that there were really the accomplishments that have been made have changed for the better the face of the region. We have essentially, and the collective we is everybody at the Port Authority, all 8,000 employees, have been able to do something that was exactly the mission of this organization. And I take tremendous pride in that. And also, most recently, one of the most thorny problems we had faced for decades was how do you divest another thing, knowing when to give something up, and the fact that we were able to come up with a plan with respect to the Red Hook Container Terminal, the Brooklyn Terminal, is just a testament to the intellect and the perseverance of everybody on this board and in this organization. And I'm so thankful that I had an opportunity to serve with you all. I'm also thankful in all candor that I was placed on this board both times by Governor Cuomo, who entrusted me, with one exception, never told me what to do. And the one time he told me what to do, we disagreed. And I did it my way anyway, because that's the job. Right? The job is to act as a responsible fiduciary. And all of you, in the best possible way, live up to that. It's not always easy. We're not perfect. The sessions can sometimes be a little rambunctious, but that's because you all are willing to do the job. And that's the job. And I really have to say that under the current leadership, I served under the first time John Degnan and Pat Foy. It was a different model. I have immeasurable respect for both of them. But what they didn't understand that the current leadership team understands is the ability to foster this kind of collegiality really does matter. And it makes for not just a better experience in the sense of a more pleasant experience, but it makes for a better experience in the sense that you get a better result from the people in the room. People feel comfortable expressing their view, disagreeing, coming to a consensus. And I thank Rick, who I suspect probably believes for good or bad that maybe I had something to do with his also being recruited into the Cuomo administration and then coming over here. And the Vice Chair and Chairman O'Toole, you have really set a remarkably high bar for not just leadership, but a kind of respectful, thoughtful, compassionate leadership. And I do think that has reverberated not just on the board, but throughout the institution. I frankly would love to sit up here and name the 100 or so people who have made this a rewarding and productive experience. I mean, the unsung hero in my mind is always Libby McCarthy, who has just, through thick and thin, quietly is one of the great intellects and truth tellers. But Steve Plate and Lillian Valenti and James Allen and James McCoy and Peter Simon and Michael and Natasha and Mercedes, and I can go on and on and on. But it is a testament to this organization that it brings out that kind of commitment and that kind of dedication. But at the end of the day, it was the time spent with all of you, and the world doesn't understand how much time for an unpaid position. I mean, God bless, and I'm always reminded of David Steiner, who was one of the greats, and unfortunately passed not too long ago. But I had the great pleasure of serving with David twice, and what David would say is, not only we don't get paid, but I have to pay the tolls. Like, can I get something? And it's true, the amount of time and energy that people put in here. But it really, there is not a meeting that I was not delighted to see all of you. Many of you are old friends. Leisha is an old friend. Many of you, Gary's an old friend. Many of you are new friends. But it was always a pleasure working with you. I have a profound respect now, which I never had before, for Elizabeth, New Jersey. I have the great pleasure of knowing leadership in Elizabeth. I don't go through Elizabeth without noting that when it comes to being wired in a community, I'm wired in Elizabeth. So, all kidding aside, this really has been the experience of a lifetime, and I really do thank you all for not just allowing me to serve, but enriching my experience. I can tell you, I have watched Murray over the years, and going forward, you can expect to see me in the public session, in the speaker's platform, getting my comments in maybe a little over 3 minutes. If I go 3:10, please allow me the indulgence of exceeding that. But again, there's Amy. I've seen her come up through this organization. Just thank you all. And I will be watching with great expectations, and I know that you collectively and individually will not disappoint. So thank you.
Come join as we do a plaque presentation and a hard hat presentation. Executive Director as well. Yeah, absolutely. We'll come back and say. All right. All right, Steve, why don't we come up on this side so we can take a nice.
I have no promise to help you.
So Michelle, you're going to present this to him, and Winston, Dr. Chappelle, you'll present this hard hat. All right? Yeah, I didn't like that.
I spent some time in the U.S. Attorney's Office. It goes both ways.
All right, so why don't we, if we all face the camera for one picture before the presentations are made? George, here. Go behind you, George. You good?
No, you come right in there. This is fine.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a couple of presentations. Commissioner Richardson? However you'd like to handle that.
I would like to hand it over to you for your distinguished service. We will see you soon.
Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it.
Vice Chair?
This is the Service Excellence Award presented to the Honorable Stephen M. Cohen. The Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes the important contributions made by Commissioner Stephen M. Cohen to the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and the region it serves. Since appointment to the board in June 2021 through June 2024, Commissioner Cohen has given tirelessly of his time, talent, and expertise with distinction as a member of the Board of Commissioners, including Chair of the Committee on Finance, as a member of the Security Committee, and has committed to the agency's core mission of building and maintaining transportation infrastructure for the region in a fiscally prudent manner and ensuring the safety and security of agency facilities. It is with sincere appreciation that the Board of Commissioners thanks Commissioner Stephen M. Cohen for his leadership and service, June 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Here is a construction hat that is signed by the commissioners and senior executives to represent all of the hard work for you and all what the team has done.
Well, thank you all so much. It is so appreciated, and I will treasure all three of these items.
Terrific. Comment or two?
I just wanted to say Steve has been a great friend for a number of years, many years, and but they don't make shoes big enough for me to fill, for me to use to fill what Steve is left behind. I've seen personally how you cut through so much and speak truth with clarity, and you have such commitment and energy, and I will try to honor those qualities, as your legacy is very significant here. So thank you for everything you've done.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Steve, all of that. I'm sure we'll be talking. There's a lot going on.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll be doing. Your husband, we're supposed to be doing. Okay, we'll like that. We'll be talking. You want the dates, and you also. Congratulations. now I ride off into the sunset towards New Jersey. Because I have profound respect for the bi-state nature.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
All righty, for our next order of business, now I want to hear from our executive director and his report. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have to say just a parting word of thanks to Steve Cohen. He was a large measure of how I came to state service. He was always available for advice, counsel, and support, and I am truly grateful for our long association. Mr. Chairman, for my report today, I want to cover two broad items, and I will be brief. First, as we are reaching the middle of the year, I do want to touch briefly on the highlights for the agency throughout the first half, and then I want to summarize how our facilities have been performing. If you look back over the last 6 months, it was a very eventful 6 months. We announced the publication by the Federal Transit Administration of the draft environmental impact statement for the Midtown bus terminal replacement and reached an agreement with New York City on the city's contribution to help defray the construction costs of that project. We announced 2 honors for the new Newark Airport Terminal A from the preeminent global rating organization Skytrax. First, an award to the terminal for the prestigious Skytrax 5-star rating, and the honor of receiving Skytrax 2024 Best New Airport in the World award. We announced that LaGuardia was rated first in its size class in one of the best regarded passenger surveys in North America, a stunning departure from past surveys which had rated it dead last. We announced the $430 million Path Forward program to invest in and upgrade stations, tracks, and other critical equipment. We broke through, as Commissioner Cohen noted, a 30-year stalemate, reaching an agreement with the City of New York, New York State, and New York City Economic Development Corporation to transfer the operation of the Brooklyn Marine Terminal to New York City in return for the city transferring full ownership of the Howland Hook Port to the Port Authority. We continued the rollout of TAP, Path's new contactless touch-and-go fare payment system, to all stations in its system. We broke ground on the largest on-site solar plus storage project in the history of New York State with the start of construction on the solar canopy installation at the long-term parking lot at JFK Airport. We announced that the JFK redevelopment program had awarded a record $2.3 billion worth of contracts to minority and women-owned businesses, MWBEs, in that construction project. We graduated 109 Port Authority Police Department cadets into our police force, and representing an extremely diverse class that represents our continued commitment to our police being representative of the communities that they serve, and we of course thank them for their service. We achieved very strong financial performance in the first 6 months of 2024. These achievements are not a comprehensive list of all that we did at the agency, but we do have much to be proud of. More importantly, they are a testament to the dedication of our workforce to achieving our goals, and without whom we could not do so, and fulfilling our mission to keep the region moving. We also continue to be grateful, as I say each month, to all of our employees for their hard work and dedication, and to the unions and their leaders who represent 2/3 of the agency's workforce. Turning to our facilities, in May of 2024, volumes across the agency's facilities were extremely strong, with a particularly strong performance at our airports and at the seaport. Last month, Port Authority airports continued to set new records with respect to passenger volumes. Overall, the 3 major airports set a collective record for the busiest month of May in the agency's history, with overall air passengers a full percentage point, meaning more than 115,000 passengers above the previous record set last year. In May, our seaport turned in an extraordinarily strong monthly performance with more than 22% more cargo than pre-COVID May 2019 and increased activity by 12% over last month. And just to put an exclamation point on that performance, for the month of May, the Port of New York and New Jersey held the #1 spot as the busiest seaport in the country. Our bridges and tunnels continued their strong volumes in May 2024 with levels in line with pre-COVID May 2019, and path ridership in May continued to grow, reaching the highest overall ridership and highest average weekday ridership since the onset of the pandemic, with an overall ridership at 70% of 2019 levels. With that, Mr. Chairman, I conclude my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Is Mary Lee here? Did she? Mary Lee. So Mary Lee, and we're going to have a special celebration, Mary Lee, in July. For those that don't know, she's leaving the 12th. We got that straight?
July 12th.
12th. But I felt just compelled, and we'll save some of the niceties in July, Mary Lee, but I just feel compelled to say something today. Because often in life, you don't appreciate someone until they're gone. Mary Lee is here with us in spirit and in body for the next 2 weeks. And I think those people who work for the Port Authority, those people who have worked with her, have benefited from her amazing friendship and professionalism, those of us who have learned literally at her feet of how to run this 8,000 person authority should over the next couple of weeks find a way to call Mary Lee, email her, text her, and just say thank you. And that's part of what's going to lead to the run-up of our meeting in July. There's very few people that I've come engage with in the Port Authority that have such a hard and huge impact on how I govern, how we operate. And Mary Lee is like the top of the class. One thing, everyone says there's a secret society. Mary Lee clearly the president of that secret society that runs this place. But everything that happens here has to go through Human Capital HR. Mary Lee has been at this place 24/7 for 37 years. And Liz, I say, this is the type of caliber of person you find at the Port Authority. And we should embrace the Mary Lees of the world. She's a role model, just not for my daughter, but for my son. She's a role model for all of us. I've seen Mary Lee in the hardest of times during COVID just make the brave and really difficult decisions. When Floyd was murdered, we sat around and she talked about what had to be done to make sure our employees felt safe. When there was hard decisions that had to be made with some of our employees, she was the first with a great humanity and dignity and humility. She led the charge. When it was the 93 bombing or the 2001 bombing, she was here to help embrace the employees, the victims' families. And when we have those very solemn ceremonies and remembrances, Mary Lee is always in the background whispering to people like me who was not here and to Rick and others and say, don't forget this aspect. You put great color and texture, Mary Lee, into this life called the Port Authority. And I often say you have one of the most difficult jobs, Mary Lee. You do. You're not going to make everybody happy because hard decisions have to be made, and some people get yes, some people get no, and HR is where the intersection of hard decisions have to be made. Mary, this place wouldn't run, Mary Lee, without you. You have inspired me. You have inspired many of the people who you worked with. You have touched thousands of people over the 37 years. So my only request to the commissioners who have worked with her, and my only request to the colleagues, senior staff, and the employees, present and past, reach out over the next 2 weeks and say thank you to Mary Lee and how she's had an amazing impact on all of our lives. Mary Lee, next 2 weeks. It's going to be hard to kind of capture your life in July. We're going to try to do our best. But on behalf of our folks, on behalf of me, and behalf of the commissioners, behalf of every person who's worked here during your 37 years, heartfelt thank you. Thank you very much. And Mary Lee, we're going to make you cry in July, just so you know. Yeah. All righty. Thank you. So our next, we're going to hear from our Chief Financial Officer, Libby McCarthy, and she'll present an item for the board's consideration that would authorize financial support agreements for the Gateway Development Commission's Hudson Tunnel project. And we'll defer voting on this matter until after the speaker's program. Libby, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner, or Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today, I am going to be seeking authorization of what we are calling the Port Authority Gateway Development Commission Financial Support Agreements. More specifically, I'll be looking for authorization for a funding agreement between the Port Authority and Gateway Development Commission, as well as a direct agreement by and among the Port Authority, the U.S. Department of Transportation, and the Gateway Development Commission in support of a RIF loan from the U.S. Department of Transportation's Build America Bureau to the Gateway Development Commission. So just to frame what is the Gateway project, it's comprised of three broad components: the construction of 2 new tunnels from New Jersey to Penn Station, New York. It's called the New Tunnel Project. Construction of Section 3 of the concrete casing at the Hudson Yards and removal of a emergency services building there to preserve right-of-way, and the rehabilitation of the existing North River Tunnel. The Port Authority's financial support will be used for the new tunnel project only. And in exchange for this financial support, the Port Authority will be receiving intangible improvements to our path system. The background of the funding for the Gateway program: Gateway Development Commission will be entering into 3 railroad rehabilitation and improvement funding loans, aggregating approximately $4 billion. They will also be getting grants and other federal contributions from Amtrak and the federal government for the remaining $12 billion of the program. The Port Authority's support for the program is for a debt service on a loan for an aggregate capped principal amount of $2.7 billion. Importantly, the support agreement of the Port Authority is limited to those debt service payments, and the Port Authority will not bear construction completion or cost overrun risk. New York, New Jersey, and Amtrak, as the project sponsors, will be responsible for that. And as I mentioned before, the Port Authority will be a party to the funding agreement with GDC and the direct agreement with Build America and GDC. Key terms of the facility are a loan of a not-to-exceed principal amount, inclusive of capitalized interest, fees, and any credit risk premiums of $2.7 billion. The rate will be set on the date of the closing tied to the 30-year U.S. Treasury rate, and the payments and the source of the payments from the Port Authority to Gateway Development Commission will be a special obligation of the Port Authority, payable only out of surplus net revenues generated by non-aviation facilities after provision for our consolidated bond debt service and our statutory reserve funding. The term of the loan will be, or the payment stream will be 35 years post-construction completion. And as I mentioned before, the scope will be of those payments will be solely for the new tunnel only. And the loan agreement from between Gateway and Build America Bureau has received a credit rating of A2. So again, today I'm asking for the board to authorize the executive director to execute and deliver the funding agreement and direct agreement. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Right, I know we have discussed this extensively and gone over this extensively. Massive, huge project and agreement, a lot of work. Any questions, or we're going to postpone this obviously till after the speaker's program. Any comments or questions from the commissioners? All right, Libby, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're now going to have an opportunity to hear from members of the public on the public comment portion on Port Authority matters. This public comment period, which might be limited to 30 minutes, will probably go longer than that today. It provides an opportunity for members of the public to present their views directly to the board, but does not provide for a dialogue. Those members of the public wishing to discuss a very specific matter, please contact our Port Authority staff at Public Affairs, and we'll direct you to the appropriate employee or staffer. Speakers are asked to comply with a fixed time limit of 3 minutes. Jim, we have 12 speakers and 3 videos. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All righty, let's go. First one, Antonio Figueredo. Antonio? Okay. Christopher? Greff? Anyone see Christopher? All righty. Jesse Figueroa? No way, right? No way. Jesse, see if they come later on. Douglas Freeman. You're still a Yankee fan?
Yeah, you know that, though.
Come on. I do know that.
Yeah.
Welcome.
It's just a little bit different not being in your office. Douglas Freeman, South Ward Republican. I'm here on behalf of Yvonne Garrett Moore. She put together an ideal called Newark Airport Village. She's a little upset with us right now because she feels like her vision has been taken over by NJIT or PA and different organizations. I'm going to present this to you because it's a long piece. I don't have enough minutes to do it, though. But when we look at Airport Village, we look at the South Ward. One, we want to thank you for the transit hub. That's a success. But there's some pieces that we need to add on from the community. Now, we're not asking for no handouts. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for it to be business partners. In the business partnership in 2011, during the Choice neighborhood, we was in collaboration of bringing in people. Y'all move people, we bring people into the community, like Weekway Park. When we look at Weekway Park, we're doing over 400,000 people. We're doing airport Airbnb people that are coming here. But there's no relationship with the South Ward businesses. When we're looking at the airport Aerotropolis, we went to Atlanta, we went to Australia, we went to all these different areas to look at how do we build economic wealth in our community along with supporting the airport. When we look at coming into the airport, when you look at the community board, you look at the welcoming center, I am ashamed of what it looks like right now because it doesn't speak of the great things that are being done through the airport. It doesn't speak of the great things that's being done in Essex County, Newark, and the community. We want an Aerotropolis that includes all of Essex County, the businesses that are promoted in the Welcoming Center, and we also, as business owners and community organizations, just want a place where we can say, how can we help the Port Authority, right? And what does that mean? It's the same thing as when you go to Myrtle Beach. There's a business commerce that actually is in partnership with the airport, and we actually, in that particular area, they are in connection with the airport. The airport is a major economic advancement for the South Ward of Newark. All right, we have redevelopment that's coming. Okay, we have redevelopment that's coming. So through your office, Mr. Chair, we want to have a meeting to speak with our community, though, not people who say they represent the community and come to you for a grant or come to you for funding, and then we don't see it on our end. We want to have a meeting, not just in the park or having us do a survey and getting us on a committee. We want to have a tangibles that is not done through politicians. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. Good seeing you again. And Zach, follow up with Doug Freeman, please. Thank you. All righty. Tisha Taylor? Welcome.
Hi. Hello. My name is Tisha Taylor, and since 2015, I have worked as a baggage handler at Newark International Airport and have been a proud 32BJ SEIU member. Working as a baggage handler demands a lot from you physically. On any shift, I will handle the baggage of 10, 20, or even more flights. By the end of the shift, your back and arms are sore, and you feel like you just finished working out at the gym. It is a very demanding job, but it's also a critical job because we play a key role in making sure the flights depart on time and the passengers get their luggage in a timely manner. Airport workers like me are the backbone of EWR, and we deserve a wage that reflects that. Like I mentioned, I have worked at EWR as a baggage handler since 2015. In that time, I have seen our wages increase bit by bit. Every increase has been important. When the Port Authority made a decision to raise our wages back in 2018 to $19 per hour, I felt that difference. But in 2024, the cost of living is so high that $19 an hour just doesn't cut it. I live in Newark, and between my rent, car insurance payments, and groceries, I can't keep up. And then there's my commute. Whether I am taking the New Jersey Transit or an Uber, no matter what I'm spending, a lot of my paycheck just to get to work. A wage increase to $25 an hour would be a game changer. It would mean I wouldn't be living just to pay my bills. That's why my fellow airport workers and I are here today, to urge the Port Authority to lead once again and raise the wage. Thank you for taking time to listen to me.
Thank you very much. Noya Tizitin de Jesus. Welcome. Sorry about that pronunciation.
Mi nombre es Noyolcin de Jesús. Yo trabajo como limpiadora por 3 años en el aeropuerto Kennedy y soy miembro de la 32BJ.
Good afternoon. My name is Noyolotzin de Jesus. I have worked as a terminal cleaner for 3 years at JFK, and I'm a member of 32BJ.
Hace más de un año empezaron mis problemas de salud.
More than a year ago, I started having health problems.
Después de una ardua e intensa búsqueda para encontrar mi mal, fui diagnosticada con artritis psoriásica, la cual es una enfermedad crónica y degenerativa que viene acompañada con mucho dolor.
After a long and intense search to find out what was ailing me, I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis, which is a chronic and degenerative condition that comes with a lot of pain.
Esta enfermedad le dio un vuelco bastante drástico a mi vida, afectándome de varias formas.
This disease has given my life an unexpected twist and has affected me in all aspects.
Viví un año muy duro acompañado de dolores intensos, sin embargo, seguí adelante y nunca dejé de laborar.
I've lived a year with intense pain. Nonetheless, I kept going and never stopped working.
Vivir mi vida normalmente fue realmente muy difícil hasta que finalmente mi médico encontró el medicamento correcto que me ayudó de manera crucial con mi enfermedad.
Living normally was really difficult until my doctor found the correct medication that has helped me to significantly manage my disease.
Yo dependo de un medicamento que se me suministra cada 3 meses, el cual tiene un costo aproximadamente de $4,000.
I depend on a medication that I need to get every 3 months and which costs approximately $4,000.
Mi calidad de vida depende de este medicamento, por lo cual necesito un buen seguro médico.
My quality of life depends on a medication for which I need to maintain my good health insurance to cover.
Temo la pérdida de mi seguro de salud si no hay una política que garantice el mismo estándar de salud que hay en Nueva Jersey. Gracias.
I fear the loss of this health insurance if there is no policy that guarantees the same health care standard as our colleagues at New Jersey has. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miriam Neptune. Miriam?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity today to speak. My name is Miriam Neptune Romeo. and I work as a wheelchair agent at JFK Airport Terminal 4 for the past 7 years. I am proud to speak here today on behalf of thousands of airport workers like me. We take pride in helping make the country's biggest airport hub work. Workers at JFK and LaGuardia are the heart and soul of the aviation transportation industry, which is a key economic driver for New York and the country. Today, I want to emphasize the importance of healthcare priority. The union healthcare has made a big difference for me. I've been able to go to the doctor, get necessary blood work done, podiatry, and therapy for my knees. It would be a struggle to get this treatment on my previous insurance, where I would have to pay out of pocket for so much. For this reason, I always encourage my co-workers to take full advantage of the union healthcare. The passage of the Healthy Terminal Act, combined with our 32BJ union contract, means quality, fully employer-paid health insurance for workers like me. Thanks to our union, we now have quality health benefits, but without a mandate increase to the hourly health care supplement, soon we won't have this quality, fully employer-paid health insurance that so many of us rely on. Today, we are asking you to invest in airport workers by increasing wages and mandating the same health care, vacation, and holiday policy for all airport workers that our counterparts in New Jersey have. Thank you.
Thank you. Argentina Gallagher.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Argentina Gallagher, and I'm a cleaner I'm a terminal cleaner at Newark International Airport and proud member of 32BJ. As a terminal cleaner, it is my job to ensure one of the busiest airports in the country remains clean and safe. It is not an easy job. I clean a large area on a tight schedule, but I take a lot of pride in my job because I know workers like me are essential to ensuring passengers can travel safely, quickly, and efficiently. We are the backbone of one of the largest economic and transit hubs in the country, but we need a wage that reflects the vital role we play because our current wage of $19 per hour is not enough to keep up with increased cost of living in 2024. Workers like me have seen our rent, bills, groceries, and the price of just about everything else a person needs increase. I feel the rising cost of living every day. My rent is very high, and I pay up to $30 a day to get to work. And then the groceries, which are essential when you work at the airport because you want to bring lunch to avoid airport prices for food. But groceries too are expensive. I end up spending more than $300 a month. The bottom line, we need a wage that lets us live comfortably. $19 an hour does not give us money to put aside. Airport workers struggle, living paycheck to paycheck. $25 will help us pay our bills and thrive in the communities we help to sustain every day. While I can only tell my own story, I'm standing with over 10,000 members fighting for fair standards. Nearly 2,000 of their stories are on these postcards that we brought here today. Each postcard features a handwritten message from an airport worker explaining the need of $25 an hour, health care, paid vacation, and holidays. On behalf of these 1,000 airport workers, I am here today to urge the Port Authority to stand with us as you have in the past. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Robert Morgan.
How you doing, everyone?
Hello.
Thank you for your time and congratulations on all of your amazing accomplishments. I can't imagine the challenges that come with governing such a vast infrastructure and being responsible for the safe passage of every soul that utilizes our transportation systems. Regarding Port Authority's vast transportation infrastructure, is it possible for details to slip through the cracks that can compromise our safety initiatives, resulting in the possibility for potential class action lawsuits or whistleblower cases? The answer is absolutely. Today, I humbly request that you bless me with an opportunity in assisting in the prevention of such issues from ever happening. Instead of being identified by my badge number, I would like to be identified by caring, having great ideas, and an unwavering ambition for what I hope is a God-given ability to identify value or the costly details that may be slipping through the cracks. Will you bless me with the gift of presenting potential solutions that will promote safety and monetize value in the process? In the past 16 years as a PATH employee, how many passengers have died or suffered serious injuries resulting in the loss of limbs and the burden of unnecessary trauma? During the current and present capital construction project that is responsible for the expansion of our PATH train stations, also known as a 9-car project, is it possible to complete the project by adding sensory technology or a powered barrier system that would prevent falls from happening in the track area, or stopping the train by notifying the ATC wireless signal system and informing the train master and law enforcement simultaneously? Is it possible for me to patent such ideas as this concept and earn the opportunity of being hired as a consultant? The cost is too great to not explore the possibilities that can save lives, prevent trauma, while saving or creating monetized value. For more years than I care to count, I have brewed with excitement and ideas, only to have been met with a wall of rejection and being ignored because I care about safety for all. Today I stand before the governing leaders of Port Authority, hoping that you will see my potential and breathe life into my abilities by the grace of God. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Murray Bowden. Murray?
I'm here for a couple of reasons. I guess the first one is to say that business gets done face to face. We're all here, we all see each other, we all interact, which means back to the office. It's so important to be able to look around and see you all at the same time and not on that screen. So we have to follow up on that. My grandchildren's generation needs your help. All of you. I can't do it anymore. Each of you has influence on a number of people. When you're out there driving your car and the light turns green and nobody moves, you know somebody's texting. And when they look up, they need to see consistent lines on a road everywhere, meaning essentially a yellow line on the left, a white line on the right. Each of you represents an organization. When you do and you see that it's effective, then you need to mobilize your organization to follow up on this. It's going to take a massive effort by all of you to recognize that people are distracted. Each accident that you I can't see the clock, it usually is up there now. Each accident that is avoided is a massive saving all over. In cars going out, fire engines, EMS, everything else. You got that message? And the last thing I want to say, it has been a pleasure to work with the people of the Port Authority all these years. Not that I'm so smart, they taught me. I didn't get this by myself. People took the time to educate me. I just assembled the information and present it to you. Kevin, thank you.
Thank you, Murray. Thank you. Patrick Jean? Patrick?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Hello, Commissioners of the Port Authority. My name is Patrick Jean, and I'm a driver for LSG Sky Chef at JFK, which catered the in-flight food for the airplanes. I live in Bushwick, Brooklyn. I have a wife, 4 children, and 2 beautiful grandkids. Airport workers like me work incredibly hard. We are dealing with more passengers than ever before. As a driver, I take the carts loaded with food and beverages to departing planes, and I take trash off the planes when they arrive. If you are flying and you are well-fed, relaxed, and your plane doesn't smell of garbage, you thank me. My coworkers and I work incredibly hard, but we are not making enough money across my workplace. I see my coworkers who are dishwashers, porters, and drivers who make less than $20 an hour. With the price of everything rising, too many of our coworkers have to take a second job to make ends meet. How is it fair for us to work so hard for so long and miss out on ability to spend time with our families? Airline, catering, and airport concession workers are done being left on the ground while industry's profit soars. We need the Port Authority to do 3 things to correct the balance and improve our lives. First, we need the minimum wage of $25 for airports and airline catering workers. Second, we need to guarantee parity in health insurance, vacation, and holiday and standard for New York and New Jersey. And third, we need to make sure these benefits include concession workers at LaGuardia and JFK airports who have been excluded for no good reasons. I urge you to take action to these priorities. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Jacqueline, guilty. Jacqueline? And Jacqueline will be the last live speaker, then we have 3 videos. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Members of the Port Authority, thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. My name is Jacqueline Guiti. I have worked at OTG Terminal C at Newark Airport for the last 6 years. I live in Newark. I'm a single mother of 4, and I take care of my aging mother. And I am a proud member of Unite Here, Local 100. I want you to know about the hard work that I do every day. I load and unload trucks with deliveries of food and beverages. I keep our warehouse stocked and clean. I supply the restaurants and marketplaces across Newark Airport so none of our millions of passengers go hungry. It is hard work, and it takes a lot of energy to do it, but I am proud to be a part of the backbone of this airport. For all that, I make only $19 an hour. Even though I am essential to the airport, which is essential to the whole region, I am only scraping by. The prices that my coworkers and I have to pay for everything, which includes food, gas, and rent, have been soaring and rapidly increasing. We aren't getting the money we need to survive. All airport workers need and deserve a $25 minimum wage to stay on top of the cost of living. Believe me, that money wouldn't make me rich, but it would help me to pay for childcare for my children. It would help me give my money to my daughter who is attending Keene University. Most important, I want to be able to travel to New York to give my mother the care that she needs. I wouldn't be here without her, and that's why I am fighting for a wage that will let me take care of her and my entire family. I am lucky to work at Newark, where New Jersey Healthy Terminals Act applies. But my coworkers across the river at JFK and LaGuardia are denied the same treatment in two important ways that need to be fixed. Concession workers at New York airports are not covered by the same protections as other airport workers. That means the folks who do the same work that I do in another state are treated less important than the other airport workers. We need to have concession workers at New York airports treated the same as other workers. My New York co-workers also get fewer protections than I do. New York airport workers with the same job descriptions as me are not guaranteed the same health insurance, vacation, and holiday standards. We need parity between the states so that all workers have access to these same benefits. I hope the Port Authority will take my words to heart and act on these priorities, extending benefits to include concession workers, parity between New York and New Jersey workers, and raising the airport minimum wage to $25 an hour. The working people of New York and New Jersey and our families need your help. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Jim, is that the last live speaker we have?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, we go to the three videos. The first is Maddie Butch's Highland.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Matty W. Bucky's Highland. Today, I was originally not going to speak today about in the Port Authority board meeting, but when there was a new commissioner, I want to welcome that new commissioner, and that commissioner is Elizabeth Fine, who we were replacing Stephen M. Cohen. And I wish Commissioner Fine the best of luck and wishes in this job as a Port Authority commissioner. That's all I have to say for this month. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. And I turn back over to Mr. Kevin J. O'Toole.
We love him, Liz. He's amazing. He gives us one of those once a month, and he puts a smile on all of our faces. He's terrific. Ken Jacobs.
Port Authority Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Ken Jacobs. I'm the co-chair of the University of California, Berkeley Center for Labor Research and Education, where my research focuses on low-wage work, labor standards, and access to health care. This includes work on the nexus of labor standards, turnover, and safety and security at America's airports. I'm speaking in support of the proposal to raise workers' wages at Port Authority airports to $25 an hour by 2030 and to bring the New York airports up to the standards in place in New Jersey for the hourly health and welfare supplement, paid leave, and scope of who's covered under the policy. In 2017, our center and the San Francisco International Airport released a report summarizing the research on the relationship between wages, turnover, worker performance, and safety and security at U.S. airports. Worker compensation affects airport safety and security through multiple channels. The effects of higher wages and benefits on worker turnover is well documented. When wages are low, workers seek out other employment, even for a small increase in pay. This leads to greater numbers of inadequately trained and less experienced workers who may be less familiar with hazards and safety and security procedures. There's a strong evidence that improving workers' wages reduces turnover and improves employee performance. Unlike the New York Healthy Terminals Act, the New Jersey Act ties its hourly health and welfare supplement to the standards in the Federal Service Contract Act. As a result, the benefit rate increases over time in line with what similarly situated employers pay towards health and welfare. Without increased contributions towards health and welfare in the New York airports, we're likely to see greater numbers of workers going without care, either because they cannot afford coverage or they cannot afford to use their coverage. This has important implications for both workers and the airport. Workers with health coverage are less likely to miss work and miss fewer days than those without coverage, even after taking into account underlying differences in health. Health issues also affect performance at work. Our research on the San Francisco International Airport Quality Standards Program found that mandating higher wages, paid time off, and a benefits supplement led to significantly lower turnover among covered workers, improvements in worker performance, and a reduction in absenteeism. The available research evidence suggests that improving access to affordable health coverage for airport workers can improve their access to care, health outcomes, and financial security, while also having the potential to improve productivity, reduce absenteeism, and reduce turnover. Our previous research has found that lower turnover and the more experienced and better trained workers that results from it correlates with more effective safety and security performance. The proposed standards are a smart business practice with clear benefits for the airport, for employees, and for the flying public.
Thank you. Our last video, Coria Walter.
Thank you, commissioners and board members, for this opportunity to present in support of improving work standards for essential service workers at JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark Liberty airports. My name is Carla Walter. I'm a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress, and I've conducted research on how policymakers can ensure that airport service workers earn decent compensation that maintains their health and well-being while supporting safe and efficient travel. The Port Authority, in partnership with state policymakers, was previously a national leader in advancing high standards for airport service workers, including wage and health benefits. Yet current standards are inconsistent in terms of workers covered and benefits provided, jeopardizing the region's ability to attract and retain a well-qualified workforce. Moreover, regional workers will increasingly struggle to pay for essentials, particularly health care, as the Port Authority wage standard and the New York Health Benefits Supplement fail to keep up with rising costs. The standard falls short of other national leaders. For example, LA, Seattle, and Chicago have all adopted pay standards that rise automatically with increasing costs. San Francisco requires airport employers to provide health care coverage for service workers and their families at no cost. And Philadelphia's airport standard covers concession workers and includes a benefit supplement that increases periodically. Inadequate industry compensation not only harms workers. When workers are poorly compensated, the public bears hidden costs by providing services to supplement poverty wages. Also, coupled with a tight labor market and high turnover, airline and airport employers will fail to maintain a well-qualified workforce, thereby reducing airport safety and security. Research shows that strong airport standards produce good outcomes for the public. A study of the San Francisco airport showed that among security screeners, turnover fell from nearly 95% to 19% after a wage standard was adopted. And prior to adoption of its own standard, the Port of Seattle found that low wages, poor benefits, and other job quality factors were primary drivers of high turnover rates. The link between airport worker wage and benefit standards and public outcomes is long established. A study conducted by the federal government in 2000 found that low wages and high turnover rates among security screeners led to poor performance in detecting dangers. Similarly, a 2007 government report found that low wages and high turnover among ramp and fuel workers contributed to ongoing problems with ramp accidents and aircrafts entering runways without permission. Finally, implementing wage standards helps level the playing field for high-road airport employers. Without strong standards, companies that pay good wages and provide decent benefits can be forced to compete against low-road companies that undercut the market. By adopting best practices that uphold parity across airports, namely that wages and benefits increase with rising costs, supporting universal access to paid leave, and broadening coverage to include more service workers, the Port Authority can help ensure that all airport service workers are fairly compensated, increase aviation workforce stability and experience levels, and thereby promote efficiency and safety in the system. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jim, any more speakers, video or live?
That is all.
Great, thank you. We're now going to proceed to voting on items. First item, as presented earlier by the Chief Financial Officer, Libby McCarthy, authorizes a loan support agreements necessary to facilitate the Gateway Development Commission's Hudson Tunnel project. Prior to making a motion, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any recusals on this matter.
Commissioner Fine is recused.
Any questions from the commissioners? Comments? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Second. Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Votes in order, the items approved. Hey, Greg, right after this meeting, I'm just going to have you talk privately to some of the commissioners and just give them a 30-second update of what's going on. It's all resolved, but I think they should hear the update. As Chair of the Committee on Operations, I'll present one item for consideration. The items approve a collective bargaining agreement with the Port Authority Maintenance Supervisors Association, which represents about 227 Port Authority employees. This agreement, which is for a 12-month period of time, was ratified by the union members on June 4th, 2024. Prior to making a motion, I asked the Secretary, do we have any recusals?
There are no recusals.
Any comments or questions from the commissioners? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bolwage?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Fine?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
All the votes are in order. The item's been approved. We'll now hear from our Vice Chair, Jeff Linford, to provide his report on an item for consideration by the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Chair of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, I will now report on one item. The item would reauthorize a project to replace PATH's Substation 14 at a total project cost of $111.5 million. This reflects a $24 million increase as compared to the previously authorized amount. Up to 90% of the cost is expected to be funded by a Federal Transit Administration grant. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any Commissioner recusals.
Chairman O'Toole is recused.
Thank you. Do any Commissioners have questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, I now request a motion on this item.
So moved.
May I have a second? Second. Thank you. I now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on the item.
Vice Chairman Linford.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Eve.
Yes.
Commissioner Fine.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher.
Yes.
Commissioner Helmy.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved, and I turn it back to our Chairman.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Next, Commissioner McCabe, as Chair of the Audit Committee, will provide his report on an item for consideration by the Audit Committee.
Thank you, Chairman. As Chair of the Audit Committee, I wish to recommend a resolution authorizing the retention of the agency's independent auditors. This will be a vote of the Audit Committee members only. By way of background, KPMG LLP was retained in 2019 as independent auditors on the basis of a competitive solicitation selection process. The retentions provided that, subject to annual retention as determined by the Audit Committee, such services may be extended through 2025 as determined by the Audit Committee. The committee, consistent with its responsibilities under the bylaws and its committee charter, and after due review of KPMG's qualifications and performance to date, has determined to retain KPMG as independent auditors for the audit year ending December 31, 2024. I also wish to note that for the 2024 audit engagement, certain non-financial statement-based services, including contractually required audit services, will continue to be provided by Mitchell Titus, a Port Authority certified minority and women-owned business enterprise, in furtherance of the agency's MWBE subcontracting goals. Do any commissioners have comments? Prior to making a motion on this item, I would ask the Corporate Secretary to note any committee member recusals on this matter.
There are none.
I now request a motion from a committee member who is not recused on this item.
So moved.
Second? Thank you. Now I request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll of the committee members present for voting on this item.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Eve.
Yes.
Commissioner Bollwage.
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Commissioner McCabe as Vice Chair of the Finance Committee. He'll provide his report on two items for consideration by the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Chairman. As Vice Chair of the Committee on Finance, I will now present an item under the committee's purview. This will be a vote of the Finance Committee members only. The item authorizes agreements with the Willis-Watson Northeast, the highest-rated proposer pursuant to competitive procurement process, to provide brokerage services and administration services for the Port Authority's owner-controlled insurance program. Each of the two agreements is for a 3-year term with one 3-year option. Prior to making a motion on this item, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any committee member recusals on this matter.
There are no recusals.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on the item? I now request a motion on this item.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I now request the Corporate Secretary to call for a roll call on this item.
Commissioner McCabe.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner LaBarbera.
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. There being no further business, we move to adjourn. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Greg, if you could just come up and just privately give us a quick briefing.